In this video, I'll be showing you on how I use TradingView indicators so I can get better trading entries, so I don't enter longs when the market is too high and also don't enter sells when the market is trending upwards. So if you guys think this video is interesting, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll be doing a 100 USDT giveaway. All you need to do to participate is in the description of this video, click on the Blofin link and create an account there. And if you make a deposit of any size, just take your UID and paste it in the comment section and then you'll automatically be entered. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this video. So the first thing that you would need to do is you would need to be on TradingView. Now I'll be using the Crodl Algo A and B indicator, but you can use any indicator on TradingView. The concept really stays the same. So the Crodl A indicator is very similar to a super trend. And then for the Crodl B, you can use any oscillator or momentum indicator just so you can see the direction that the market is moving in. Now, the way this strategy works is we can see that on the Crodl A, you have this red trend lines and then this green one with this middle blue line, which is representing a moving average. So if you open up the settings of this indicator, you can see this is a 50 SM moving average, and it's also using a smoothing 5 SMA. So I'll be leaving it like it is. And then if we take a look at how to use this indicator, it's actually pretty simple. But we can see that when the green is appearing, that means usually there could be an uptrend coming. And then when there's a red one, we can see that the market is going to move downwards. Now, it's not always that simple to just enter your longs and let it run out, especially if you're using leverage, since you might have a tight stop loss. Now, the way this indicator works is basically giving you a better chance of to enter a trend. So if you can see that this is the green trend, the question is, where should we enter? Now, what I like to do is I don't like going long when the price is above this moving average, because that usually means that the price would still retrace a bit before going upwards. And this is a perfect example of what's happening here. We can see that the market is pushing upwards and it's changing the trend to being bullish. But then just after it changed, we can see this pullback. Now this pullback is usually where you would want to enter in. Now it doesn't always pull back to the exact green line. So we can't just set our entries here because then we might miss a lot of the trades. But if we set it somewhere in between, so the way I like to do it is usually check the gap between that moving average and then also this green line. Now we can see that's approximately 2%. So if we want to risk 2% of our trade, then I would rather wait a bit more to enter somewhere in between. Because if I enter here in the middle, we can still have a 2%, but then at least it's giving it room to move, because we can see that there's still wicks going outside of that trend. So we can't just place our stop loss just below that. So what I would do is I would wait for this market to shift, and somewhere in between we can look for an entry. Now this is where this bottom indicator comes in, and this basically gives you good opportunities to buy and sell based on the trend we are currently in. So here we can see we have this green dots basically showing the momentum is changing. But again, if you're using something like the MACD or the RSI, it can give you very similar data. You just need to decide on, do a bit of back testing on what's actually working with that specific indicator. So we can see right here, we would probably enter on the first green we see, because we don't know what's going to happen afterwards. So even though it did dump a bit more, we would probably enter somewhere in between here. So I'd like to enter obviously as close as I can to the green line, but again, you might not know when that will be. So you could have entered in this week as well, even though there was no green confirmation, you could have still gotten a very low entry in this candle. So if we take the middle right here, I'm just going to go and enter a long position. If we enter somewhere right here, we can add our 2-to-1 risk reward. So all we have to do is basically pull it up. Yeah. So we can see here it's currently around 2-to-1 risk reward. And again, this trade did play out. Now, not all of the trades will play out, but the thing about this indicator is that when the market is moving, you might want to use something more like a trailing stop loss, or just taking partial exits, because when it's going in the right direction, it tends to move a lot more. So for example, if we drag this even up more, we can see that this went up to be like a 10% move. Now again, if you're using like 5 to 10x leverage, that's 50 to 100% of your actual size that you're risking. So that's a pretty good gain that you're missing out on if you're only taking like a 2 or 3%, which is obviously going to be 30 or 15% take profit. But if you take a look at this red one, this is a very good example of where this is not working out, because if this trend shifted, you'll see that price eventually went back, and you can't look for entry really here because the market is already changing. So another thing to keep in mind is to enter as early as you can. So if it's happening in the first move, so usually if it's been running for, depending on your time frame, but hours or days, then I wouldn't enter if it goes back into this range, because that's when the trend shifts more likely to happen. I mean, if you really were, entering at just this moving average, that will also be a good position. But then you're moving a bit away from the strategy, but you can see you have this confirmation as well. And that was probably around a 3% move, but your stop loss would have been around probably 2 to 3 as well. So that's not a very good risk reward to take. So I would not have entered on that trade. Now, this is also another example of where you might want to enter or not. This is a very good risk reward, because you can see the gap is very tight between this moving average and then this green uptrend. And then also we can see the confirmation a few times here on the bottom. So if you could have entered anywhere in the middle right here, we can just throw it in again somewhere there. You can see you have a very small stop loss, and I don't like to place it exactly on that trend because you see a lot of wicks going through. So if you can have a bit more room to breathe, that usually tends to have better win ratio. But again, this is a 2 to 1 risk reward. You can put it like there, but it went a lot more, upwards. And since we are currently in a bull market, I focus more on entering longs and let them run than doing shorts, because shorts will have quick spikes down, but then usually the trend would recover back to being bullish, since there's a lot of volume coming in, a lot of buy pressure. So having the shorts run is not really ideal at the moment. But if the market shifts, then basically you just have to do the opposite. Now, you can literally do this on any indicator, and the only reason why I say we use this strategy is because if you were to enter when the trend just shifts, for example, like right here, you would be entering at a very high. So if you were to just enter as soon as the market shifted, you would have entered right here. And the market only went up around another 1.3%. And that to say you would have taken profit on the top, which most likely wouldn't have happened. And then you have all this downside movement, and you would probably risk then 3%. As where if you'd waited for somewhere here in the middle, even though this trade would have, be a losing trade, you would not have risked that much, because if you were to enter on this confirmation right here, we can just take a look. If you had, let's say, a 1% stop loss outside of that market, and you had it on 2 to 1, then you would risk only 1%, where it would have been 3 if you entered high. So it's up to you to basically alter your leverage based on the gap between the price and this the trend line. Because, for example, something like here, this was a pretty good trade, but it never really gave the opportunity to enter, because it shifted and then it dumped. So you might have missed out on a trade like this. But again, that's moving against your strategy, because this is shifting, red right here. The only confirmation we had on this bottom indicator was right here. Even though it did dump pretty good, I probably would have missed it, because again, you don't want to enter below this moving average, because then you have a very high stop loss. So you can see that's a 2.6% stop loss. Yeah, you can lower your leverage to make it not impact as hard, but still that's going against your strategy. So another example I'll show is probably one right here. So again, you can see there's no wick going to the midline, so you might miss the trades, you might FOMO into it, but at least you're entering below the moving average. So again, if your stop loss is not that big, then yeah, I would say enter it. But again, this one plays out and it did work pretty well, but you might not have wanted to enter because it didn't go to that midline. And if it goes to like a point right here, I personally feel like the move has already played out quite some time, and it most likely would not give you the same result. So because we're in a bull run, we obviously see stronger moves, but we're looking for something that works most of the time and on most symbols. So you have to adjust this risk rewards depending on the symbol you're trading. Because if you're trading something with like XRP or a Dogecoin or Shiba, the price is a lot more volatile. So you can't really have this gap if it's going to be like 10 or 20%, because if you're using 2 or 3x leverage, that's quite a big move. So you have to adjust all of this to make sense with the pair you're trading. Now, I hope you guys found this useful, and if you do, you can also check out our Discord channel where I can help you support and also help you with the board setups. If you guys want to check out our trading board, you can go to crodl.com and it will show you everything right here. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.